Hello. I thought I would take about 5 minutes and talk about something I like to call the Great Exchange. There's this amazing thing that happened when we come to Jesus and we give him the things we're carrying, and he gives us new things. He takes the old and he makes it new. We're not bound to the old things anymore. But how does this practically work? I think sometimes this is hard to do in our daily life because we're still stuck acting the way we used to act, right? So we have to learn a new way of acting. Um, we have to grab hold of the new way. So Romans 12:2 talks about this, and it says that do not conform to the pattern of the world, but be renewed by the transforming of your mind. So there's this action we take. It's a discipline of renewing our mind, of continually letting go of the pattern of the world. And so I thought I'd talk about this because it's actually super exciting because there's all these new things that are available to us, but it can be very challenging because we're trying to let go of the things we used to do, and we know that way really well. And so when I think about this, I consider Isaiah 61 is one of those passages I think about that helps me to apply this in my life. Let me read just a little bit of Isaiah 61. It says, the Spirit of the sovereign Lord is on me because the Lord has anointed me to proclaim good news to the poor. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim freedom for the captives, and release from darkness for the prisoners, to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor and the day of the vengeance of our God, to comfort all who mourn and provide for those who grieve in Zion, to bestow on them a crown of beauty instead of ashes, the oil of joy instead of mourning, and a garment of praise instead of a spirit of despair. And then I'm going to skip a little bit down. It says, instead of your shame, you'll receive a double portion. And instead of disgrace, you will receive your inheritance. The idea I want to bring out here is I want you to see this exchange that's going on. In Luke 4, Jesus got up in the temple and he actually read from Isaiah 61, and he said, this has come true in your hearing. He proclaimed that he is the Messiah that's going to do these things. And so when we read this, we can realize he is doing this in our life. What I want you to see though is this word instead. Instead, that word is in here 5 times in just the little section that I read. Instead of ashes, we get a crown of beauty. Instead of mourning, we get oil of joy. Instead of despair, the garment of praise. How do we do that, though? How do we do that? And so the way I've come to think of it is that we have to learn how to take an action in the opposite spirit. We have to learn that when this old stuff comes, we have to actually take action in the new thing. So this is where it gets really practical. I think of even in the New Testament, there are other places where he gives us, instead of bondage, he gives us freedom. Instead of hopelessness, we have hope. Instead of powerlessness, we have power. And so how would I apply this? I think of times when I'm feeling fear, when I'm feeling hopeless. How can we take an action? I may go talk to someone about it. I may sometimes just talking about it helps take the power away. Because a lot of times, especially with fear, it's a lot of imagination. We're imagining things that aren't real. We're worried about things that aren't actually happening. And so to talk with someone else helps us to get grounded in faith and to get grounded in the things God is doing and giving us. For example, like despair. Sometimes we feel like, oh, everything's against us and there's so many hard things going on. So a practical application might be to make a list of all the blessings you have, to remember the ways God has brought you through, the ways God has been faithful in your life, and to grab hold of the things God is doing. Because all of those old things are just lying to us. They're reminding us of the old, and they're saying that's who you are. But when you've come to Jesus, he says new things about you. He says, that's not who you are anymore. You're a new creation. And so we have to grab hold of those new things and let our minds be transformed And so this is the amazing adventure we're on, and we do it together. It's not always easy, especially when you're by yourself. And so I just thought I would encourage you with this today to think about that word instead. What are the things that God is doing in your life where he's taken the old and giving you something new instead of that? So maybe today go read Isaiah 61 and think about that. I don't know if this is a new topic for you, but this is the gospel. He is giving us new things instead of the old. All right, have a great day.